From broken attachments to SMGs that could delete people across the map, these are some of the most busted metas in Call of Duty history. We start things off with a weapon so good, it became the go-to choice for every player in the game, the BAL-27.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is being called BAL of Duty Advanced Warfare because of how much this gun gets you.
Because the BAL is really freaking good at close range, and the BAL accelerates the farther you get into the clip, it gets faster.
But it was this fire rate that introduced some serious problems, especially the hipfire.
Is that the hipfire is very solid for an assault rifle, and I think that has to do with the rate of fire and what it's comparing to, which is usually SMGs.
Assault rifles aren't typically intended to be fired from the hip, but for the BAL, this was a completely different story.
SMGs are usually the way to go with hipfire, but in this game, I tend to prefer the hipfire and the BAL more than the SMGs. And
you even had comments like this one, claiming it could rival a shotgun at close range. Unsurprisingly, it didn't take long for pro players to exploit the BAL's capabilities, leading to a predictable and rather boring meta.
This is hands down the best gun in the entire game, most versatile, overall best weapon in the game, so...
Every match, nearly every player wielded this one gun, and diversity was virtually non-existent. Fortunately, the weapon wouldn't remain unchallenged for long, as Sledgehammer Games introduced nerfs throughout the season.
The ever so popular BAL got its 3-shot kill range nerfed, such that a 3-shot kill even at this distance does not kill the enemy. It's essentially shotgun range.
It almost had no recoil, which is what made the weapon so good. Now, let's take a look at the new BAL-27. You guys are gonna see this thing shoots up like a rocket. It's got a ton of recoil now. If you aren't burst firing this thing, you're gonna be way off target.
And while the ASM-1 was finally viable for competitive, the BAL still overshadowed every other assault rifle, maintaining its infamous status.
There's like no variety, nobody else is using anything.
Its competitors are too weak. The BAL has no like really hard, scary competitors, not a lot of ones with trade-offs right now.
Of course, this is only one part of the gun's success story, because it also had another massive advantage over the competition, the Obsidian Steed variant.
Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa! The Obsidian Steed has landed, baby!
If you've never got to use that gun, I feel bad for you because it is overpowered.
Advanced Warfare was the first title to introduce modifications for every gun. Each variant was supposed to balance out, more damage meant less range and so on, but the Obsidian Steed, this broke the mold. Despite a supposedly decreased fire rate, it still wiped players off the map with terrifying efficiency.
A +2 damage, you know, the -1 accuracy, -1 fire rate, those things, they're minuscule to the damage. The damage is the biggest thing on a gun.
Fortunately, variants were banned in esports, but in ranked play, still competitive modes, this was not the case, and the Obsidian Steed reigned supreme for the entire season.
Everyone should have, it should be a fair playing field. So that's why they should ban all the frickin' Obsidian Steed. It's not fair.
Since then, the BAL has recently made its return in Warzone, albeit not quite as destructive as it once was. But the BAL wasn't the only fast-firing weapon to cause a stir. 1 year later, an SMG emerged that drove players to the brink of frustration. Meet the Vesper, a gun with a fire rate so high it left competitors mind-blown.
The Vesper might as well been the best SMG in any Call of Duty ever.
Despite its very low damage per bullet, the Vesper was a beast in close quarter combat, rivaling even the shotguns.
Just saws people in half. I mean, just like you just kind of shoot in the general area while hip firing and they just get obliterated.
But if that wasn't enough, the gun also had controllable recoil, making it a bullet hose from medium range as well.
Best SMG in the game by far right there. If you want to use an SMG and just shred people, that's what you want to rock with.
However, unlike the BAL-27, the Vesper faced a different fate in pro play. Thanks to the introduction of the ban and protect system in esports, teams could strategically remove it from play, and more often than not, this opportunity was capitalized on.
I can't wait to play people and just ban that noob gun, dude. Vesper. It's all I get killed by.
I use the Vesper because this thing is stupid. Most of the time it gets banned.
But if you're doing pick and ban, the Vesper automatically gets banned. Like, that's probably a first or second ban for every pro team.
Pro players joined forces to help promote a more balanced competitive environment, but when it wasn't banned, its impact was undeniable, showcasing exactly why it was so feared.
And with the ban and protect system, something that I want to do right now is ban the Vesper every single time, because the Vesper is like an instant kill.
In public matches, the Vesper continued to dominate, but this reign of dominance was unsurprisingly short-lived. A few months later in February, the gun finally received a major nerf, marking the end of its era as one of the most overpowered SMGs in Call of Duty history.
The Vesper was nerfed, lowering the recoil stability of the submachine gun when aiming down sight.
Let that sink in. The Vesper finally got nerfed.
A few months later, they did unnerf the Vesper for just a couple of days before realizing their mistake. While the majority of the community celebrated its demise, others mourned the loss instead.
Listen guys, the Vesper is gone. As much as it breaks your hearts and it breaks mine, you guys gotta let it go.
But Treyarch's influence in Black Ops 3 extended beyond mere weaponry, because they inadvertently introduced a movement mechanic that sparked widespread controversy. The glitch slide, otherwise known as the G-slide.
G-slide is a technique that I obviously didn't name, but it is one that allows you to move faster and navigate the map faster than normal running, than boost jumping, or even boost sliding or wall running.
This unintended feature allowed players to traverse the map at unprecedented speeds. All you had to do was jump immediately after sliding, and you gained a massive speed boost with the jetpack.
Literally flings me forward like a slingshot and uses my entire boost meter.
In a competitive environment where every second counts, it's safe to say the G-slide was far from welcome. It disrupted strategies and timings, creating an environment that most pros found rather unacceptable.
And I get there a little faster. It's obviously not crazy faster, but it can help you get there a couple seconds, which can make a huge difference.
I mean, G-sliding, I think it's equivalent to like having overdrive. It's like all four you can overdrive whenever you want, as long as you hit the right combination, you know, so.
The glitch put a spotlight on the balance between fun mechanics and competitive integrity, a debate which still goes on today, with the likes of Shotzi finding various ways to break the game seemingly every other day. Treyarch, however, soon caught wind of this exploit, and in a few months' time, they eventually patched the G-slide, much to the relief and, to some, the disappointment of the competitive Call of Duty community.
You're taking your last G-slide. The G-slide is going away. They are patching it.
It seems the era of game-altering movement glitches had ended. Or so we thought. Not long later, players discovered another mechanic, the wall bounce, which was abused by players all the way until the arrival of Infinite Warfare. While Black Ops 3 had its share of balancing issues, it was far from unique in this regard. Cast your minds back to the very beginning of the series in Black Ops 1. One weapon emerged that still holds a legendary status even today, the Famas. Not just another assault rifle, but a rapid-fire powerhouse that redefined versatility on the map. Typically, high rate of fire weapons are counterbalanced with significant recoil, other poorer handling characteristics, or merely lower damage. But the Famas was a different ballgame. It was a bullet hose without the expected kickback, making it the weapon of choice for many.
The game needs variation within the guns to succeed on the viewer's standpoint as well as the player's standpoint, so the game has a lot of longevity.
To make matters worse, the mid-season nerf to its rival in the SMG category, the AK-74U, only intensified its prevalence.
Famas has an incredible fire rate, probably the fastest shooting gun in the game besides some submachine guns. But the submachine guns don't have the range that Famas does, so it really gives you an advantage in almost any situation.
The cherry on top to this beast was the dual mag attachment, which increased its reload speed significantly half of the time, allowing you to continually delete enemies off the map. The Famas did eventually get nerfed, but nobody will forget just how formidable the pre-patch Famas really was. As impactful as the dual mag attachment was, it paled in comparison to select fire from Black Ops 2. This allowed single fire or burst weapons to be modified to become fully automatic. Players could now maintain steadier aim without the need to continually press the trigger. However, Treyarch hadn't fully anticipated the consequences of combining the select fire attachment with certain weapons. Enter the FAL DSW, semi-automatic rifle with very low recoil and a high output of shots.
It is the most overpowered weapon, and this gun is pretty much so overpowered that I think this weapon is one of the most overpowered things I have seen in Call of Duty history.
With select fire enabled, this weapon transformed into what many in the community described as a laser beam, sparking widespread complaints about its overpowered nature. And while it was supposedly patched relatively quickly, many believed the changes were insufficient.
So I don't think that this nerfs the FAL in any capacity, guys. That's something that you can easily drag downward.
This sentiment was confirmed at UMG Chicago, the first major competitive event of the season, and it was at this event where the weapon's overwhelming power was displayed in the hands of professional players, namely Optic Big Timer.
The FAL is obviously a tank. People in the competitive scene are very good with accuracy, and so it took 2 or 3 shots to kill you.
Recognizing the imbalance, Treyarch took a different approach. They decided to nerf the select fire attachment itself, aiming to curb the FAL's dominance without completely altering the weapon's core mechanic.
The FAL with select fire finally gets a huge nerf. Previously, it got a recoil increase, it kicked a lot more with select fire, it shoots a little bit slower with select fire.
Despite this nerf, the weapon remained a popular choice, and at the World Championship in April, the whole world was about to see that it was still a powerful weapon.
And even without select fire, everyone's using scuff controllers with the trigger stops, and so it's easy to just spray basically with this 2-shot weapon.
And it's actually being talked about getting banned in a lot of tournaments, so abuse that while you can, guys.
But just 1 month later, the FAL was finally banned in both MLG and also League play, marking the end of its controversial presence. Select fire may have been nerfed, but there was one perk that stood the test of time. Stopping power from the original Modern Warfare was a perk that increased the damage dealt by 40%. However, not all weapons were created equal under its influence. Enter the M16A4, a 3-round burst AR.
This is one of the best guns of all time in Call of Duty.
My choice for perk 2 is the stopping power. This means one good burst to anywhere on his body is going to take the guy down.
With stopping power equipped, it became one of the most powerful weapons in history.
One burst, even without stopping power, can kill somebody. It's like a shotgun for all ranges.
M16 is so good. It's overpowered like a million times.
With the M16, red dots, and just putting my try-hard panties on.
What's even crazier though, this combination never received any nerfs, despite widespread community outcry.
But it's not fun for me getting killed when I'm trying to rush and there's someone all the way in the back camping with a 1-burst M16
But the M16's reign of terror did not end there, because in 2016, out came Modern Warfare Remastered, which was practically the exact same game as COD 4, but with new cosmetics. Once again, players were subjected to the frustrations of being eliminated from across the map in a single burst. Getting one bursted is frustrating enough, but how you died in the original Modern Warfare 2 would have pushed you to the brink of breaking your controller, because Infinity Ward introduced the ability to attach a grenade launcher, colloquially known as the Noob Tube, to their weapons. This made it rather easy to rack up kills. All you had to do was aim roughly where the opponent was and press one single button.
And I can use the Noob Tube and blow their ass out of the water as well, but it's not as rewarding, it's not as fun, it's kind of a cheap kill, you know?
But if you thought that was overpowered enough, then think again, because the real chaos began when this attachment met an equally controversial perk, One-Man Army.
It might just be one of the biggest f***ups in multiplayer game balance the world has ever seen.
This allowed you to change your class during a life without needing to die. A cool and innocent idea, so you might think. But a COD player best believe they will find a way to abuse it. Soon enough, people realised that after depleting your Noob Tube supply, you could change your class and get a fresh supply. This meant that you could pretty much stand in one spot the entire game, launching unlimited grenades at the pro enemies on the other side. If this wasn't overpowered enough, people also found certain spots on the map where you could abuse it to an even greater degree. And it wasn't just the attachments which arguably ruined the balance in MW2. Throughout its history, Call of Duty has had a fair share of overpowered shotgun weapons, but none quite like the AKimbo Model 1887s in Modern Warfare 2.
They literally put the range into these like it's a sniper rifle.
These shotguns weren't just the king of close quarter combat, they redefined the boundaries of shotgun effectiveness. With one shotgun in each hand, you could practically kill people across the map, unleashing 8 pellets at a time. But if that wasn't enough, it also had super fast reload times, giving the potential for pure dominance across the map.
They wouldn't be overpowered if there wasn't the AKimbo option for it.
Pretty much everybody knows the Model 1887s are overpowered.
The Model 1887s became the stuff of legends, but as far as we know, they were banned from competitive play, and rightfully so. But with their recent return in Modern Warfare 3 via the Lockwood Mark II conversion kit, the developers have been kind enough to make sure that we never forget them. As the years have passed, one might assume that the Call of Duty developers have mastered the art of weapon balance. But with the resurgence of the Modern Warfare series in 2019, we soon found out the battle between innovation and balance is far from over. Enter the Gunsmith system, a new feature which revolutionized weapon customization, offering players unprecedented freedom to tailor their weapon. This sounds cool on paper, but in reality, the expansive possibilities brought their own new challenges. Among these was the MP5 submachine gun, because there were two attachments which turned it into a monster. The 10mm magazine increased damage and range of the weapon, and with the Merc foregrip attached, recoil was mitigated to the point of non-existence. In the hands of skilled players, the MP5 transcended all weapons in the game, even outclassing ARs at range.
Zapped
Online.
Across the map by an MP5.
That a sniper? Nope, that's a sub.
With this, the pro players decided to take matters into their own hands. They decided to add the Merc foregrip attachment to the Gentleman's Agreements list, also known as a GA. This meant that even though it was still eligible in the Call of Duty League, the pros themselves decided to keep it out, with the intention of trying to find a better balance between the ARs and the SMGs. Ultimately, the weapon was nowhere near as good as it previously was, leading some players to lose their minds.
Okay, use an MP5 next map. Use an MP5 next map.
Wait,
please,
I will.
Using an AR that could kill in 2 bullets. I seen you get the kill cam. I have to use a fucking bro.
But it's only right that we save the best until last. There was one weapon back in the day which many people may well not have experienced. One weapon which is arguably the most overpowered gun in COD history. That is the MP40 from World at War.
MP40. Firstly, it's so overpowered it takes about 2 shots, 3 shots to kill one guy.
Is one of the most frustrating things you'll ever see in a game. Too good. Too many people use it. You go in a game, you're pretty much guaranteed to see one.
Just like the M16, equipping stopping power gave it immense capabilities, allowing you to basically 2-bullet enemies from any range. To make matters worse, the extended mag and steady aim attachments removed all the major weaknesses of the gun, transforming it into an almost mythical beast.
You could literally shoot people across the map with the MP40 with the round drum, steady aim.
It's safe to say that if the Call of Duty League was around back then, this would be the first weapon to be GA'd by the pros. There you have it, the most busted metas in COD history. Let us know if we missed any in the comments below, and subscribe for more content just like this.